Okay, is there anybody else that wants to sign up to speak that did not sign in? Okay, maybe.
Oh, sure. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular meeting of the City Council of Bandera. We are located here at 511 Main Street in Bandera, Texas. We have all council members present with the exception of Lynn Palmer. Denise Griffin is not with us here tonight, our new mayor. She had a scheduled vacation that has been scheduled before she ran for office, and so we're letting her take that much needed vacation, and I will chair the meeting in her absence. We also have our city administrator, city attorney, city treasurer, city secretary, marshal, our outgoing mayor, lots of important folks in the back of the room, so welcome. With that, we will go ahead and move into item number 2, our invocation pledge of allegiance.
Lord Jesus, it's in your name today that we serve you, we praise you, we thank you and glorify you. We give thanks for the people in this room today that are appointed, newly appointed, reappointed, that they can go out and serve this community with the best of their abilities and their hearts and mind of the residents of the community as a whole. We're grateful for this opportunity to be here tonight. We pray that we can sit in this meeting with open ears and open hearts, absorb information, discuss information, and move this town of Bandera in the direction it's much needed to. It's in your glorious name that we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, with that, we'll move into item number 3, which is business to be heard. I'm going to spare you this lengthy passage here, but please know that you have 3 minutes to speak. We will be pretty prompt about the 3 minutes, so when you come up to speak, just be mindful of your time. Please keep all comments directed to the council as a body, not individually, and there will be no rebuttal from council back to any of your comments. So with that, we'll move forward, and the first person we have is Gary May. Gary. Also, please state your name and your address.
Okay.
Come up to the podium.
My name is Gary Manning. Address is 167 Creekwood Drive, Bandera, Texas. I've lived at Flying Hill Resort since 2012. Several people who are here tonight are friends of Bob Preston here, who are here to support him in what I have to say tonight. First, I want you to know that our church prays for you regularly. Second, let me say that I appreciate your willingness to direct many of the affairs here in Bandera, as well as areas that surround Bandera. Concerning the desire to acquire land for a new water treatment plant is understood and appreciated because it's presently in the floodplain and you must abide by the Texas law. Third, I would like to remind you that God wants there to be order and civility in Bandera. In Genesis, God wanted his creation, all of his creation, to be cared for by humans. When David wrote Psalm 72, God gave instructions to those in authority. In verses 12 through 14, he said, the king, quote, will deliver the needy who cry out, the afflicted who have no one to help. He will take pity on the weak and the needy and save the needy from death. He will rescue them from oppression and violence for precious is their blood in his sight. City council, your responsibilities are numerous. In a conversation with Pilate on the day that Jesus was crucified, Pilate asked Jesus, "Do you refuse to speak to me? Don't you realize I have the power either to free you or crucify you?" Jesus responded with grace, "You have no power over me, except that it's given from above." I would say to you that the power that you have been given by God. Therefore, God wants you to handle the business that comes to the council with empathy, righteous justice, and care for the people who live in your jurisdiction. My understanding is that you have been given permission to acquire just less than 74 acres to house the new water treatment plant. That amount of land seems to be rather exorbitant, since the present plant is on about 3 or 4 acres. Within those acres that you want to acquire is a 2.38 acre tract owned by Mr. Bob Preston, who has had the property in his family for 80 years. He does not want to sell it. My question is this: can you not find another plot of land that does not include Mr. Preston's property in those 70 acres? To take an 83-year-old man's property away from him does not seem to fit God's instructions for those in authority.
Thank you. Mary Mosley?
I'm Mary Mosley, born and raised here, actually born in Bandera, in a 2-room hospital that we had long before any of you were born.
Mary, could you state your address, please?
I'm
for the record?
sorry.
No problem.
1380 River Ranch Drive.
Thank you.
I'm here also to speak for Bob. He's an elderly man, and he's told me many times that he's giving this over to the Lord, and then I know when he wakes up at night or wakes up from a nap or just gets the feeling bad, that you can't help but worry about it. I mean, that's just human nature. I know we all, try not to, but we do. And I know he has felt that way since he received the very large packet that was sent to him months ago now. There's so much stress. He is an elderly man, and to think of him having to find another house, move to another house, is overwhelming. It would be for, I want y'all to stop a minute and not be city council, but be human and family members. And if your mom or dad was older and somebody told them that they were going to have to leave their house, and all that that's the only place he's lived in Bandera. Of course, he was off working for several years, but he is a good man, and I'm just going to say, if any of you can please consider other properties that might be available for the new water treatment plant. I know that people all over town are concerned and know about Bob having to move, and it's a very hard decision that you all are making, but I'm just going to say, please consider any other property that might, allow him to stay in his home. Just what I know about it, and being at his house and looking down, Tractor Supply is at a lower level than his house, closer to the river, et cetera, et cetera. And I think there must be some property out there to rent and move an old man, and I can say that, out of his home. And well, I wasn't going to say this, but we are cousins, and so I just know the stress that it's on him, and he would like to stay where he is in his home that his dad built in, I think, 48 or something. So that's pretty much it. Please consider some other land. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we don't have anybody else signed up to speak. Thank you for your comments. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Council, if you had a minute to review the consent agenda, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second.
Motion from Hicks, second from Flowers. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All in favor, not opposed. Motion passes. Okay, we'll move forward on to item 5, presentations. Item 5A is a very special presentation, award to Mayor Rebecca Gibson for her dedication to the city of Bandera. So when I was told I had to chair this meeting, I wasn't overly ecstatic about having to do it, but I am for this particular item here. So I've spent the last 2 years working closely side by side with Mayor Gibson. She was elected in 2015 as a council member, and then in 2016 became Mayor Pro Temp, where she spent that tutelage for 6 years. She became mayor in 2023, and so has a total of 10 years of dedicated service to the city of Bandera. She has been very thoughtful with her service. She was inspirational in our master plan, our comprehensive master plan, true to its roots, which she spent a lot of time working on getting that put together. She also serves on multiple other boards throughout the county. The Hill Country Alliance Leadership Institution program she was part of. I know she serves on the Bandera River Authority and Groundwater District. But I think, to sum her up is the care for her community that she's given and the dedication over the last 10 years is really something special. The infrastructure, flood infrastructure and park programs that she's been part of that I know she's very proud of. And so if you will join me, it is my honor to present her this award tonight for her 10 years of service to Bandera.
It's beautiful. Thank you, Tony. You really studied up for that.
One more picture.
Well, I know most of you have heard plenty from me over the years, so I just will say thank you so much. This means a lot to me, and it's been a life-changing experience to serve this community and as an elected official. It's a big deal, and I thank you all for the work you're doing and for facing all these challenges, So have a great meeting.
All right, do you want to?
Oh, yes, I do. I'll do that. Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, with that, we will move on to item 5B, which is a presentation on camera and video public safety program by Flock Safety LLC. I have a representative from Flock.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Hayden Webb with Flock Safety. Before we begin, I'll get on the podium here. So everybody, thank you for taking the time to allow us to present to you today. Before we begin, I know Marshall would like to say a few words to you guys first before we kick off the presentation.
Jeff Flowers and I had the pleasure of looking at this presentation in the past. I know that Hayden and Kristen are going to explain all the details of what an LPR is. Being that you have graciously granted us an extra deputy, we're still kind of shorthanded. And this program can sort of serve as an extra deputy. And it's one who's on duty 24/7, doesn't need to eat, doesn't need to sleep. And it's a great program. And I would like to call on Sergeant Morgan from the state BPS, state troopers, who's had just two short little blurbs about when this program could have really helped us in the last year or so.
Good evening, I'm Eric Morgan. I'm the Area Highway Patrol Sergeant for the Department of Public Safety. I currently cover Bandera, Kerr, and Gillespie County. A license plate reader program, the infrastructure that's in place for that, or would be in place for that, helps us not just with helping to identify stolen vehicles that are coming up through here. It also can help us to locate missing persons, things like that. But I would just tell you, just over the last year and a half, just here in Bandera, just north of us on 173, the presence of license plate readers could have assisted us. And I'm just talking about my work group that I've personally been involved with. We had a hit and run crash, a vehicle that we were pretty confident was driven from Bandera at 173 toward Kerrville, struck and killed a man and left the scene. The normal venue of getting search warrants for geofences and things like that didn't turn up anything that we could use. The presence of license plate readers in that instance could have given us another tool to help identify the person that killed this guy on the side of the road. Also in July of this last year, we had 2 smugglers who were smuggling 5 illegals from the Operation Lone Star area. We know through the investigation that they ended up, one of our troopers tried to stop them on a traffic stop for speeding. Pursuit ensued, and they struck a tree just this side of Highway 46. The vehicle caught fire. One of those migrants was killed. One of the smugglers were 2 juveniles from Houston, had stolen this vehicle from Houston, driven down to Eagle Pass, picked up 5 migrants, and we know that they were coming up through Bandera because there are no license plate readers along their path. So the cartels know this, and that was the reason that those kids came up through here, through our community, to smuggle those individuals, trying to get them back to Houston. So just very quick, 2 instances, just with my small working group, where license plate readers could have been a benefit for investigative purposes.
All right, if you don't mind, Miss Jackie down here. One of our representatives, Kristen McLeod, she's online right now. She's going to be presenting this slideshow that you guys see today. And then any and all questions that you guys have, I'll be more than happy to answer, as well as all the council members as well. Mr. Flowers, is Kristen throwing online? Oh, there she is. Right there.
Yes.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can. ladies and gentlemen, I'm good on my end, but any questions that you guys have or members of the council, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
I have a question.
Yes.
How many cameras do you think you would need for this town?
Well, we've talked with Marshall about that. We started off with about 4, but I mean, we are just in preliminary talks right now. We're still strategizing their game plan that would make the most sense for your guys' community based on budget and the crimes that you guys are experiencing. So we're still in talks about that, but we are focusing on the downtown area on the main road for right now. But we would like to rope in the schools potentially as well. And again, just whatever makes sense for you guys, budgetarily speaking, and crime-wise that you guys experience, we can custom that out.
So, do you have to install special poles or, I mean, how far is the camera?
So the camera needs to be about 20 to 25 feet off the shoulder of the road. We can either provide poles for you, or we can find existing infrastructure that you guys have that we can install the cameras on. They're clamped and they're solar powered and cell signal, so they don't require any electrical wiring. It's just a matter of us going out there and installing them on any poles that make sense based on the area of coverage you guys would like to see.
And subscriptions, so what's the
Yes, ma'am.
cost per camera?
So it's $3,000 per camera per year. Yes, ma'am.
So
And
four
there are
cameras,
grants.
roughly 12,000.
Correct. That's correct.
So do you work with ISDs as well?
We do, yes, sir. Bernie ISD specifically just recently got signed on with us. Their PD uses Flock as well, so they just got their high schools hooked up at the entry and exit points and are working to expand all their elementary and middle schools.
Marshall, have you talked to the SROs about this, the ISD?
That was, I thought would be a little premature. We basically met with Hayden. We talked about the 4 entries and exits in the town itself, 16 on both sides and 173 on both sides. There are existing poles there that we could utilize. There wouldn't have to be any additional infrastructure installed. It would just be a matter of getting permission from BEC usually. And then, of course, being able to expand.
It might be a good collaboration topic to talk to the SRO about.
Have you had vandalism of these cameras?
Not that I've heard, no, sir. I mean, they're about 10 to 12 feet up in the air, so you really have to go out of your way to do that. So I will tell you, any like software issues that may occur or anything that may happen, like we replace the camera free of charge, short of somebody trying to climb up there and knocking it with a bat, or God forbid somebody running into it with a vehicle, right? But then we coordinate with the marshal's office and how we can replace that camera and work out a payment plan based off that. But anything else maintenance wise, we take care of the health of the camera for you guys. But they are high up in. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, Councilman Flowers, any question?
Yes.
Yeah, so for the sake of time, Nancy and I had worked with Hayden to come up with a preliminary presentation. We wanted to put this out to the public, get in everyone's ear so they can absorb the information. That's why I didn't put it on the agenda for a discussion. That's hopefully for a future agenda where we can actually maybe talk, discuss the details, and see maybe there might be some form of action where we might be able to budget if this is something we want to pursue. And yes, reaching out to the schools and see if they might be on board, talking with Bitsky, the school district. Personally, I think that would be a great asset for the city and the schools to have this kind of system in place. But again, just for the sake of time, I just wanted to get this out in the public eye.
Any other questions, comments before we move on?
So does it take the license plates from cars going either direction?
So it's we would deploy that based on the direction that they go in. So it's only designed to take a photo of the back because we don't want to have any facial recognition or anybody's identity exposed. It's only designed to take a photo of the back. So we can custom it out to where we can have one facing east and one facing west on the same pole. So it's only designed to go one direction.
And so, for example, since it reads the back of the license plate, like based on a budget, we're kind of start with 4, and it's mainly getting cars going out of the city, correct?
Correct.
So in the major arteries, 73 north, south, and 16, those higher traffic entry points. And then obviously if it's a program that works or it's something, you can build from that as you go by. I mean, there's things that you can utilize in the flock, safe pieces. I mean, you can set them up in the parks, it really helps deter a lot of, just criminal activity that can go along in some of the darker places. And
Okay, in the essence of time, I think we'll move forward. We do have a packed agenda.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Kristen, thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 6, discussion of possible action on the following items. The next 4 items on here are appointments. Generally, in our election cycle, we will reappoint these 4 positions. And so they are all reappointments, and so we will need a motion. I mean, Jeff, you have these in front of you, but we will need a motion and a second on these. So reappointment of the municipal court Judge Towers. I'll entertain a motion on that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for item A to appoint the appointment of municipal court judge Michael Towers.
Okay, we have a motion by Flowers, second by Green. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All in favor, none opposed? Next item is item B, appointment of an associate municipal court judge, Zapata.
Yes, and I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of associate municipal court judge Zapata.
Motion by Flowers, second by Green. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All in favor, none opposed? Item C, the appointment of a municipal court clerk, and that'll be Jeanette Clifford.
And I'll make the motion for agenda C, the appointment of municipal court clerk.
We have a motion by Flowers, second by Green. All in favor? Aye. All in favor, not opposed? And then appointment of municipal deputy court clerk, Allison Wright.
I'll make a motion for item D, the appointment of municipal deputy court clerk Allison Wright.
First, second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay. Now I will turn it over to Jill to swear those folks in.
So this is a little strange because usually the judge is swearing everybody in. So.
Judge, you probably apologize for not being able to believe me, it's really been here and what he's doing. We'll leave it at that.
Okay. What are you doing?
Want me to show you how to do this? You gotta swear me in first.
Okay. You want to raise your right hand? In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, state your name.
Michael Towers.
Do solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
I will faithfully execute the duties
I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of
in the office of municipal court judge for the city of Bandera, Texas.
and will do the best of mine,
And do the best of my ability
preserve,
to
protect,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the laws of the state of Texas.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Judge.
In the name and the authority of the state of Texas, I, Jeanette Clifford,
Allison Wright,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of municipal court clerk
of the office of the municipal court clerk,
of the city of Bandera, in the state of Texas,
city of Bandera, in the state of Texas.
and to the best of my ability,
I will, to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
defend the Constitution and laws of the United States,
defend the Constitution and the laws of the United
and the
States,
state and the city of Bandera.
and the state and the city of Bandera.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
that way you can move on.
Okay. out of the way, we'll move forward to item 6E, which is approval of resolution 2024-040 for conflict of interest policy. Dan, want to give us a quick update on that?
Yes. From the resolution, the city of Bandera is in the process of applying for grant funds from the U.S. Department of Agriculture in connection with Bandera's Marshal Office. And the application for grant funds from the USDA requires the city of Bandera certify that it has a written policy governing conflicts of interest. The city of Bandera currently has a code of ethics ordinance that addresses conflicts of interest, but desires to implement a policy in the city's personnel policy in order to be eligible to apply for these USDA grant funds. City of Bandera Council desires to implement this conflict of interest as part of a larger ethics policy to govern and guide the conduct of members of the City of Bandera Council and city employees, as well as vendors and other third parties who transact business in the city, with the city.
Yeah, so basically, this is just a conflict of interest policy that we had to put in place in order to pursue those grant funds.
Is this the one they sent us?
Yes.
It's very vanilla, in my opinion, so,
No, I just wish they'd been here a while back. But yes.
I'll make a motion to approve, resolution 2024-040.
Okay, we have a motion on the table by Councilman Tate, second by Flowers. Any further discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay, item F is a reading of resolution 2024-041, approving a project of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation for approving disbursement of $60,000 for a project for the country Christmas in the Park. So, Brett, I know you were part of this committee. If you would like to do the honors about first reading.
A resolution of the city of Bandera, Texas, approving a project for the Bandera Economic Development Corporation, to wit, a reimbursement of $60,000 to the city of Bandera, Texas for Cowboy Christmas in the Park, found by the BEDC's Board of Directors to be an eligible project under the Economic Development Corporation Act, providing for two separate readings, open meeting reading and adoption, and an effective date.
That's our first reading, no action is required there. So with that, we'll move on to item G. Approval and resolution of 2024-042 to approve a restricted funds policy for funds that can only be used for the intended purpose of the funds, and approving the establishing restricted funds accounts for Country Christmas in Park and Nightmare on Maple. Ms. Wright.
Hello.
Hello.
So the first part of this is the restricted funds policy. This is something Dan recommended we adopt before we establish these funds. It's pretty basic. It doesn't reference any specific fund. It's just kind of laying the groundwork for what a restricted fund is. And that's that the funds can only be used for the intended purpose. So that's the first 2 pages. Do y'all have any questions about that policy?
So how does it become restricted?
You're going to establish it as restricted in the next part of this. Any other questions before I move to the next? So I'm requesting that we establish 2 different restricted funds. The first one is going to be the Country Christmas in the Park. Will have its own fund number, like the utility fund and the general fund are 10 and 50. This one will be 53, so it'll be out of the general fund. It'll have its own fund where the revenue and expenses will be accounted for separately. So I listed here the current revenue and the current expenses to date. So those will be moved via journal entry out of the general fund into this new fund once it's created. And then from there on out, all the revenue and expenses will be tracked in that fund only. Any questions on the Christmas fund?
Should we get? Oh, yeah, I did.
Exhibit B.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
And then Nightmare on Maple will be Fund 54. Sorry, did you have a question, Dennis?
Does that Nightmare on Maple, because I think some of those ones also cover the
National Night Out.
National Night Out, so does that
It's
go
the
for
same
both of them?
event. It's the same event. It's one event, Nightmare on Maple National Night Out.
Okay, but sometimes they have two different events, doesn't it?
The sheriff's department hosts their own National Night Out, and we don't typically,
And then
where'd Nancy go?
she
already left.
Yeah, we don't have any, we go to that event and set up our booth, but there's no expenses we incur for that event.
Okay.
We only host,
that's what I'm.
pay for the expenses at our own event. So the Nightmare on Maple, like I said, it'll be Fund 54. We'll be moving over the current revenue and expenses, and then we'll also be moving the fund balance, which is the balance of that bank account. So we'll be moving that into the fund balance to be used, this year, years to come. So those are those amounts there for you. And these funds will only be used for those specific events from here on out, now that we'll have it established, and I'll separate them from the general fund, so,
Just good accounting practice.
yes.
Any other questions?
I mean, to me, it's sensible because if we're getting sponsors and donations that want to donate to a specific event, they want to make sure their money's being spent on that event, and we're not pulling it to do something else that they not necessarily would pay for, so it's great to have this. Well, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-042, restricted fund policy for funds that can only be used for the intended purpose of the funds, and approving the established restricted funds accounts for Christmas, country Christmas in the park and Nightmare on Maple.
Okay, so we have a motion by Flowers, second by Hicks. Any further discussion? All in favor? All in favor?
Thank you, council.
Okay, with that, we move on to item H, which is discussion and possible action on resolution 2024-043, selecting professional bond counsel services as required for the preparation and submission of the 2024 Texas Water Development Board Clean Water State Revolving Fund grant application. This is something that we have done annually as we've pursued these funds, or these grant funds. And so this is just to help support us as we go through the application process. Questions? Councilmember Hicks?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-043.
Motion by Councilmember Hicks, second by Joanne. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. None opposed, motion carries. Okay, item I, discussion and possible action on resolution 2024-044, selecting professional financial advising services as required for the preparation and submission of the 2024 Texas Water Development Board Clean Water State Revolving Fund grant application. Same as item H here, we just need some additional services to prepare that grant application. Councilmember Hicks.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-044.
Motion by Hicks, second by Flowers. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All in favor, none opposed. Okay, we get to the good stuff. Item J, approval of resolution 2024-45, authorizing and approving the execution of a principal forgiveness agreement with the Texas Water Development Board in the amount of $1.4 million and other matters related hereto.
We have Ben Rosenberg here today, our financial advisor, that wants to make a couple comments.
Of course, I have paperwork to hand out. This is a project that's been going on for almost 2 years now. Since we put in the application, original application, the Water Development Board, this is for the sewer wastewater treatment plant replacement project. We got the initial award of some grant money. We decided to split the project into planning, acquisition, and design first to maximize how much free money. Therefore, we got the 1.4 million free money, and then the balance of $3 million is a zero interest loan. And we split the construction until next year. We'll go back through the application process and hopefully maximize the grant or principal forgiveness on that as well. So what I have in front of you is just the sort of the dollars amount. I had a typo, my secretary didn't check it, but $3 million of sewer loan, 1.4 million free money, what we call principal forgiveness. No payment until February 2026. So we have a whole year to have this money without having a payment. We'll finance that for 30 years at 0 interest. You do have the option after 10 years to, you won't be able to refinance it if you want to pay it off early. For some reason, you come to some big money, somebody wins the lottery and wants to give the city some money, and you want to pay that off, you can after 10 years. No credit rating, 0 interest, and the Water Development Board is the lender. It's giving out the money. The next 2 pages are the timetable we've been working off of. If you approve these, the principal forgiveness agreement and the CO ordinance. We have representative from McCall Parkhurst, Angela Avia here. I'll call her in a second to talk about, when we get to this ordinance, the legal requirements. There are a bunch of stuff to sign today, so let's take it back. It's got to go through Attorney General approval and a lot of paperwork that the Water Development Board is going to require. Between now and the 10th of January is when the money will be set in escrow account for you to start the work on the project. Okay, that's those next 2 pages. The following 2 pages are all the people who have been involved for the last year and a half, from your city folks, the Water Development Board, financial advisor, bond counsel, engineering firm, paying agent, escrow agents. So just so you have one place to have all the names and phone numbers and contacts of all the people that have been involved and ongoing. And then the debt service pages that look like this, which is the actual debt service numbers, which shows normally today is what we call the sale days when you approve the interest rate, but since there's no interest, it's just basically approving the 0 interest loan. And you can see there's no semi-annual payments, just 1 payment a year every February. And then lastly, most important, is how we're going to pay for this loan, which we've been monitoring your financials for the last 10+ years and show that your revenues from your existing water and sewer system can cover this debt without any rate increases or anything to cover the debt payment. So the Water Development Board is ready to, has approved this in September. Now it's your turn to approve the accepting the 1.4 million free money and sign up the $3 million 0 interest loan. And Angela, you want to say on the legal side when we get to the ordinance, that you want to say a few words?
Sure.
Any questions on the financial part of it?
Okay. And is her part more related to the next item on the agenda?
On the ordinance?
Yes.
Do you want to wait for that
Yeah.
agenda item? And
Sure.
We'll do this, take care of this. And then any questions? Wait for this.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-05 authorizing and approving the execution of the principal forgiveness agreements for the Texas Water Development Board.
I have a motion by Flowers,
Also,
second by Hicks. This particular resolution is going to call for a roll call vote. So I'm going to go through these names. You should say yea or nay. Denise Griffin, Mayor, is absent. Tony Battle, Mayor Pro Temp, yea. Debbie Green, yea. Jeff Flowers,
Yea.
Brett Hicks,
yea.
and Councilmember Lynn Farmer is absent. So that is 4 yeas. All right, we will move on to item item K, approval of ordinance 449 authorizing the issuance for the combination tax and surplus revenue certificates of obligation, taxable series 2025A, in the principal amount of $3 million, awarding the sale of such certificates of obligations and ordaining other matters related thereto.
Hi, good evening. My name is Angela Ogden with McCall Parkhurst and Horn, the city's bond counsel. It's a pleasure to see you all first time here. Public declarations. So essentially, the ordinance under 6K of your agenda covers all the legal aspects. And Ben went over the financial information. So now, just the ordinance essentially is the contract between the city and the holders of the certificates, which in this case would be the Texas Water Development Board. The ordinance also outlines or includes covenants the city is making with regards to the annual principal payments and the levy of the tax sufficient to support those payments. It also outlines disclosure obligations the city is making to the certificate holders, and it covers all state requirements you need to abide by in order to
conform to state law requirements and do this all, so the AG can approve it. So as Mr. Battle mentioned, the city has done these types of deals before, but just in case you're not familiar with certificates of obligation, this is a type of debt instrument where political subdivisions can issue debt to finance certain public works such as wastewater system improvements. By giving notice to a newspaper of general circulation and posting the same on the city's website for 2 consecutive weeks, at least 46 days prior to authorizing the issuance, which is today's date. You of course have done all of that in conformance with state law. And this type of debt is secured by your ad valorem taxes as well as a pledge of surplus revenues of the city's water, works, and sewer system. And this type of debt has to mature within 40 years, which this does. So again, you're within state law requirements. And now with regards to next steps, if you will authorize all the paperwork today, we essentially submit everything to the AG's office for their seal of approval. They give us an opinion, and we're all set to close on January 10th of 2025. So unless you have any questions, it's now proper to entertain a motion.
One thing I forgot to mention, if you notice on the title of the instrument, we called it a taxable series. So the city is borrowing tax exempt money normally, and now the interest rate is 0. If you borrow tax exempt money, you could not earn, it's an IRS requirement, you could not earn any interest on that money while it's sitting in the bank. Because you can't earn money and make money on tax exempt money. So we made it a taxable series. So you can earn interest on that money while it's sitting in the bank. So that's why it's called tax. I forgot to mention that. And thanks to y'all for catching that too. So.
And that's of course outlined in the
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you. Thank you both for your insights. Councilmember Hicks.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 449.
Motion from Councilmember Hicks, second from Flowers. This again is a roll call vote. So roll call all your names. Let's go yay or nay. I need to correct that. Mayor. Member Tim Battle, yay. Councilmember Debbie Green.
Yeah.
Councilmember Jeff Flowers. Councilmember Brett Hicks.
Yay.
Councilmember Lynn Thorne. Absent. And then City Secretary Jill.
Present.
Present. Or she has to wait. And so that is 4 days. Okay. You'll give us time to get through the rest of this, and then I'll come back and sign all those papers right before closed session. We'll take a quick break. Moving forward into item L, approval and resolution of 2024-046 for a merit-based raise policy. This is the policy that came in front of us at our last council meeting. We asked our administrator to go back through it, make a couple of quick adjustments. And so it's back in front of you here today. Stan, do you have anything to add?
No. No, sir. I can go over those changes, which are small, which is on page 93. Merit-based raise policy. Under eligibility, I tried to flesh that out a little bit more based on the feedback I got. So the second bullet has been edited. Sorry, I don't have the red line version of what it was changed, what it was before, but no more than 2 oral disciplinary reprimands. And then there was a change on the exhibit. It's not labeled exhibit, but it's the merit-based evaluation form. And so I made it clear that this includes goals. And so on the last page, 96 mentions goals there, to be more specific.
Council, any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve agenda L, resolution 2024-046 for the merit-based raise policy.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Flowers, second from Hick. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All in favor, none opposed. Item M, approval of the proposal for engineering services to support the development of a transportation alternative set-aside grant proposal for State Highway 16 TASA grant. So this is a grant that we have pursued in the past for sidewalk improvements in our town. That grant is back up to eligibility now. We've been working with Pate Dawson for the past 10 to 15 years on this. They designed those sidewalks about 8 years ago. They're gonna help us here. This is again very similar to items H and I on the agenda, where they will help us with their services to put our best foot forward for that free money for the grant for the sidewalks. So they'll update their drawings slightly as part of this proposal, and then help us with response to the RFP.
Are we taking action on this proposal?
Yes. Yeah, we will need to take action. I think their fees in here were $8,500. It's a minimal fee for the services that we're going to provide for us. At a later date, if we are awarded these funds, we will have to go out for RFQ, RFP for full engineering services. Dependent upon how the grant's awarded, we can pursue this grant where TxDOT handles everything, including the engineering services, but we can handle it ourselves. And then at that point, it would have to go out for RFP as required by the state. Any questions? Okay, Councilmember Hicks.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal for engineering services to support development of a transportation alternative set aside grant proposal for State Highway 16, PSA.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hicks, second by Councilmember Flowers. Any further discussion?
How much for these grants typically?
There's, I don't know what the full amount is that the TxDOT is offering, but it's a substantial amount of money, and it can be for a town of our size anywhere from $2 to $10 million. So, depending upon what they feel like the needs are. The budget that we had for our sidewalks back 10 years ago, within the $2 million range, $1 to $2 million range for all the improvements that we were gonna do. So you could probably almost double that now for the improvements that we would wanna do. So we're really in a very good spot for this grant, based on the amount of work that we have done already. And it has been Tate Dawson that's done that work with us, so I think it's gonna be good to have them on board to help us go secure the funds.
And do this grant for lots of other cities too.
Yes, yeah, they've been successful all across the state. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All in favor, none opposed. That wraps up this part of our agenda, so with that, we will close our open session at 7:05. Oh, before everybody leaves, I do need to read this. I do need to read.